Welcome to the deep dive. So, you probably heard some of the talk lately, right? About a potential third impeachment for a certain political figure.
Yeah, it's definitely bubbling up again.
So we thought we'd dive into that. We've got this recent online video that's really stirring the pot. It touches on a whole range of things.
Right, everything from political strategy to like international dealings, even some infrastructure stuff, surprisingly.
Exactly. So our plan today is basically to unpack the main arguments being made in that video and maybe show you how these, well, seemingly separate things might actually connect.
Kind of a shortcut through all the noise, hopefully.
Hopefully. So what's really interesting is where this whole impeachment idea is supposedly coming from, according to the video anyway.
Yeah, the Midas Touch video we looked at, it points the finger sort of at MAGA Republicans.
Saying they're the ones raising it?
Apparently. The idea being floated, as the video presents it, is that if they potentially lose the House in the midterms, then impeachment might be on the table.
Huh. That's a fascinating dynamic, isn't it? Using a tool they've often, criticized.
It sets up this unusual situation, and the video really leans into it, asking directly, is the individual involved scared?
Scared of a third impeachment, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially with all the other legal things going on.
Right, and this is all happening while their social media feed apparently shows a lot of interaction with foreign royal families.
Yeah, the video mentions Qatar, the UAE, Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Pictures of partying in the palace, is how they put it.
And that's where the video draws a really sharp line.
You mean the contrast?
Exactly. These images of lavish events versus what the video says are everyday struggles for many Americans.
Rent, mortgages, cost of living.
Yeah.
It paints this picture of a disconnect, between the leadership and the people's concerns. What do you think that suggests, that kind of perceived gap?
Well, it's a powerful narrative device, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
The video even uses that old saying, Nero fiddling while Rome burns.
Oof, yeah. That's pretty direct, suggesting a detachment from serious problems. And then there's this specific claim about begging the Qataris gold-plated jets. That's a very vivid image.
It really underscores that alleged detachment. And it leads straight into looking at past statements, doesn't it?
It does. The video digs up comments from the 2016 debates.
Right, where the individual apparently came down pretty hard on Qatar and Saudi Arabia, human rights issues, taking their money.
Yeah, strong criticisms. And so the video frames it as hypocrisy.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it, how political stances hold up over time, especially when maybe financial interests get involved.
The video basically asks, well, if the criticism was so strong then?
Why not give back the money?
Exactly. It's clearly meant to undermine credibility, highlight those inconsistencies.
And it doesn't stop there. The video then pivots to potential corruption, conflicts of interest.
Like the Pam Bondi situation.
Yeah, that's a key example they raise. Former attorney general selling a bunch of shares in the individual's media company.
On the same day, these big tariffs were announced. Tariffs that apparently hit the stock market.
That's the claim. The timing, well, it certainly raises eyebrows, doesn't it? It makes you ask about potential insider knowledge.
And there's another layer too, right? The video also claims Bondi was a registered foreign agent for Qatar.
Yes, that's asserted in the commentary. And they loop in others too.
Oh.
The claim is that the former chief of staff, Susie Wilds, and former FBI guy, Kash Patel, were also allegedly getting paid by Qatar.
Wow. Any specifics on that?
Well, they mention a figure for Pam Bondi, reportedly $115,000 a month. It paints a picture of potentially significant financial links.
Okay, so from financial ties and alleged influence, the conversation in the video shifts again, this time to social media, but a different kind.
Right. This involves James Comey, former FBI director.
You posted an image online, just numbers. 8647. Seems random.
Not according to some interpretations mentioned in the video. Apparently, MAGA Republicans, as the video calls them, saw it very differently.
How so?
Well, 86 is slang, right? It means get rid of something or someone. And 47, well, that's widely seen as referring to this individual possibly becoming the 47th president.
So 8647 was seen as a threat?
That's the interpretation presented. Get rid of the potential 47th president. It's quite a leap from just some numbers, but shows how charged the atmosphere is. The psychology behind reading into these things is fascinating.
Definitely. And the video notes that Matt Gaetz used 86 before about Mitch McConnell, so maybe the term has some political currency.
Apparently so. And according to the video, the FBI knows about Comey's post. They've talked to the Secret Service.
Yeah.
So it's not being entirely ignored.
Okay, moving on from that, the video also touches on the economy, fiscal policy.
Yeah, criticism of that tax bill linked to MAGA Mike Johnson.
The claim being it added trillions to the deficit. Fiscally irresponsible.
That's the language used in the commentary, raises that whole question about long-term economic stability.
And then there's this visual thing mentioned. Big posters.
Right, huge posters of the individual's face appearing in D.C. The video draws a comparison to, well, places like Russia or North Korea, Putin, Kim Jong-un.
That's a strong comparison, whether you agree or not. It's a striking image they're invoking.
And then they string together other reported problems, air traffic control outages, Denver, Newark, a potential measles outbreak at a New York airport.
Trying to paint a picture of incompetence.
That seems to be the theme, yeah, linking these different incidents together.
Which leads, kind of naturally, into worries about disaster preparedness, hurricane season.
Yeah, the video expresses real nervousness about that, and it connects it back to the previous administration, claiming they gutted FEMA.
Even fired an interim head, allegedly, for disagreeing about dismantling it.
That's the assertion. It's pretty sobering when you think about the potential real-world impact if states aren't equipped.
Absolutely. If federal support isn't there when disaster strikes, raises big questions about preparedness.
Definitely. And speaking of the individual themselves, the video brings up remarks made overseas, in Doha, Qatar, apparently.
To troops, yeah. The video mentions comments about wanting to be a dictator and excitement over Trump 2028 hats.
And claims of having won 3 elections. The video notes that the troops there seemed uncomfortable.
How do you think rhetoric like that lands with military personnel?
Well, it's a fair question. I mean, it could certainly raise concerns about the values being promoted versus their oath to the Constitution.
Good point. Then there's a shift to intelligence matters. Tulsi Gabbard.
Right. The claim is that when she was Director of National Intelligence, she fired Intelligence Committee staff.
For what reason?
For saying that this Venezuelan gang, Tren de Aragua, was not invading the U.S. The video asserts they were fired for, quote, telling the truth.
If true, that's obviously a serious allegation about politicizing intelligence.
And that leads into Gabbard's later statement on Jesse Waters' show.
What was that?
She apparently called for James Comey to be arrested.
Arrested. The 8647 post.
Yes. Citing concerns for the individual's safety, mentioning alleged past assassination attempts. It really escalates the interpretation of that post.
Wow. Okay. And the video also touches on broader economic signals.
Yeah. Treasury yields. The 10-year and 20-year yields reportedly rising, getting close to 5%.
Which, for people maybe not following finance closely, that can signal what? Less confidence?
It can suggest investors are maybe a bit more nervous about lending money to the U.S. government long-term. Potentially, it could mean less appetite from foreign countries to buy U.S. bonds.
And the video connects this. How?
Well, the commentary attributes this potential reluctance directly to how the individual is perceived internationally, using terms like demented and deranged.
Okay, that's a very pointed, subjective claim from the source, but it highlights how perceptions of leadership could theoretically impact finance.
Rightly or wrongly, yeah. Then there's a quick mention of diplomacy or lack thereof.
Ah, the Zelensky-Putin talks.
The video claims the individual was too scared to go to Istanbul or Ankara for those negotiations, even though Zelensky went, presented as a missed opportunity.
Okay. And finally, one last item. A business deal.
Yeah, a Trump-Kushner hotel project in Belgrade, Serbia.
What's the issue there?
It reportedly hit a snag. An alleged forgery of a document needed for demolition on a protected site just adds another thread to that whole international business dealings narrative.
Right. So, okay, let's try to wrap this up. We've gone through quite a bit from this one online commentary.
Yeah, a lot of ground covered. This impeachment speculation.
Allegations of hypocrisy, potential corruption, those financial ties.
Questions about competence, FEMA, the hurricane season worries.
Economic signals, international relations, that Serbian hotel deal. It's quite a mix.
It really is. And just to reiterate for everyone listening, this deep dive has been focused on synthesizing the claims and perspectives from that specific online commentary.
Exactly. It's one source, one viewpoint presenting these allegations and connections.
It offers a particular lens on things.
Which brings us to a final thought for you to consider. We've seen how talk of impeachment, maybe politically motivated, is intersecting here with claims about financial dealings, international reputation, even basic government functioning.
And questions about economic stability.
Right. So what does it signify when all these seemingly different kinds of concerns, political maneuvers, national finances, global standing, start getting tangled together in the public conversation?
It's definitely something to think about, isn't it? As you follow how these stories continue to develop, what are the underlying connections? What does it all point to?
Something to keep mulling over. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.